Hey everyone, it's Andrew and welcome back to the channel. So this is my perfect Apple ecosystem in 2024. This video now has kind of become a yearly tradition since I started my channel a little under 3 years ago. And man, I just love the Apple ecosystem. The aesthetic of the devices, the cohesiveness, and for me, the Apple ecosystem is extremely reliable, seamless across all devices, and there are so many essential Apple apps within iOS, macOS, and iPadOS that I just can't live without. I've broken this video out into 3 categories: essentials, productivity, and entertainment. Some do cross into others, but I'll focus on more of a granular use case for me. I'll be sharing my thoughts on why I chose the products that I did and why they work so well for me. So without further ado, here's my Apple ecosystem. The most important part of any Apple ecosystem, or really any ecosystem for tech, has to be the smartphone. And with the Apple ecosystem, at the center of it all is the iPhone. And right now, I am using the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And seriously, it's the best iPhone that I've ever used. Battery life, the camera, not only for photos, but also for video recording, and the built-in apps are the main reasons why I'm using this phone. iOS is just so reliable, the UI is so smooth, and I've never really had any issues with it. Also, just from a design and aesthetic point of view, the natural titanium color, the titanium frame, and the overall OLED screen, just everything about it screams premium. Great phone, great performance, great battery, and great design. And I asked myself, what more could I want in a phone? Second essential, AirPods Pro 2. I think of all the products that I go over today in my ecosystem, this one comes to the closest to perfection. But if I asked you, what would you do to make the AirPods Pro 2 better? I think you would be like me and find it really hard to find something wrong with them and really hard to find something that you would improve on. I never worry about battery. The sound quality is never bad. It's always good, always sounds crisp, and always sounds clear. But even if I had the volume high, it doesn't blow out, it doesn't get too staticky, and if I have it really low, I can still also hear it really well. Noise cancellation is great. If you lose them, you can track them with Find My. Transparency mode is fantastic as well. I feel like a lot of Apple products in my ecosystem could improve greatly or slightly improve, but this one I think is the closest you can get to perfection. Last essential, the Apple Watch Ultra. At this point, I've been using an Apple Watch for nearly 7 years. And most of the designs of the Apple Watch, even starting from Series 0, is pretty much the exact same. So that's why when I saw the Apple Watch Ultra, I was immediately drawn to it. Just how different it looked, the ruggedness, and honestly a little bit more manly in my opinion. And I just thought it was just a really good looking watch. Maybe the Apple Watch Ultra is a little bit overkill, but it was such a huge design change that I had to have it. And I still have the first generation Apple Watch Ultra. Seeing the Gen 2 just didn't make me have any desire to upgrade, which is not typical for most Apple products for me. A few reasons why it fits so well into my ecosystem are: 1, exercise, so I like to wear it when I run and when I play soccer when I can. It's also extremely durable, and I wanted a battery on a watch that lasted more than 1 day, and this gets upward 2 days. It's really good. I really wish I lived in an area that had a lot of trails and mountains where I could hike more. I live in Florida, it's super flat, and it's just unfortunate. It's great, don't get me wrong, I love Florida, but it is flat and there's just not that many great hiking trails. And so I do wish I could push it to its limits, but for what I use it for, it's enough for me. And I also like to track things like my health with the Apple Health app. And so this is great, it kind of integrates everything together. I will say I don't sleep with the Apple Watch. I think Apple needs to make a smart ring. I think that would be really cool, just to kind of have that while I sleep. But that was the only thing that I really don't use the Apple Watch Ultra for, is to track my sleep. Anything else for health tracking I think is pretty good, and I really enjoy using it. All right, now let's get into productivity. And for productivity, I have 2 main devices, the M2 Mac Mini and the M2 iPad Air. And we'll start with the M2 iPad Air, which I've only had for a few months now, but I absolutely love it. It basically runs most of my productivity, My use cases for it are Apple Notes for work and moving around a lot and attending a lot of different meetings, going from different offices to offices. And it's really great to have on the go. It's super light. It's great for moving around and having just being able to put it away in really small places. It's the 11-inch, so it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's just perfect for that. And I have some work-specific apps for iPad that I use as well, and so that comes in handy a lot. I also love using it with the Apple Pencil, the Apple Pencil Pro, and the Magic Keyboard. And it's so nice to be able to bounce between notes within the Apple ecosystem on Mac or iPhone or iPad. It just makes it so seamless and perfect. And my iPad Air basically runs my entire YouTube channel, or really my entire content creation. So if you're following me on YouTube, that's great, but I also have a bunch of other social media accounts that you can follow as well. It's all tech and it's kind of similar, but if you're into other areas, you might want to follow me there as well. Oh, and subscribe to the channel because I really appreciate it. But yeah, I use Procreate for creating wallpapers, iMovie for editing my videos, and the M2 chip handles everything really well. Processing is really smooth, exporting videos is a breeze, and for me it's just a perfect all-in-one productivity device that I use daily. Also too, I think when it comes to productivity, people really underestimate aesthetic and how their workspace is actually set up and looks. And for my home office workspace, I have a really clean, minimal setup. I think it's just a great setup. I love everything about it. But specifically for the Apple ecosystem, I have an M2 Mac Mini and a studio display. And honestly, I couldn't be more happier with this space and with these products. I just wanted a lot of power in a small, compact computer, and I wanted a really clean monitor. And while I could have went with the iMac, I did want a little bit more power. It only had an M1 chip, and I didn't want to buy a new iMac just in case a new one was coming out. And I also just really want an iMac that looks like a studio display. I just don't really love the chin on the iMac, even though it is a really beautiful device. And I wanted a bigger display, and so I found this combo to be the best for me. And the M2 chip, after using it for a year, just like the iPad, there's really no complaints about it. Performs great, super efficient. It's just an overall really good product. And I wanted something that the display I could keep for years, but the M2 Mac Mini could be something that I potentially upgrade in the future. So it wasn't like I was spending a ton of money on it. And I didn't want to get a MacBook Pro. I didn't want to get an iMac. I kind of landed here and I'm pretty happy with the setup. I am pretty busy throughout the week, but on the weekends, I like to sit on the couch. I like to watch soccer a lot. I watch a lot of YouTube and a ton of TV shows and movies on my TV. It's powered by the Apple TV 4K with 2 HomePods as the stereo or the audio for my setup. It's not essential, but it has great apps. You can get any streaming on there as well. And one thing that kind of separates it for me is how many movies I bought in the past on iTunes, and now my entire library is there. And one thing that I'm super proud of, I have the complete set of The Office. If you've never watched The Office, you gotta watch it. It's a hilarious show, and working in an office I think makes it more funny. I'm also using the HomePods for sound, and they're great. They fill the room up very loudly. It doesn't become overbearing, and I think these things are gonna last anywhere between 5 to 8 years. Only thing I am a little bit disappointed with is that it won't be getting Apple Intelligence, but I wouldn't have known that buying them, so it's just a risk of the buyer. Things like the HomePod really should get Apple Intelligence, but what are you gonna do? You know, if something better comes out, I can always repurpose them to put them in another room in the house. And lastly, for entertainment, I do have the Apple Vision Pro, and I know I said I regret buying it, but I have a feeling within the next few months or even into next year, I'm going to be traveling more. And I know that the best use case right now for this is using it on an airplane or in downtime when I'm at a hotel. And I think I'm going to use it a lot more. Hopefully Apple keeps coming out with some really good apps and use cases and content and stuff like that. It is the perfect device for watching movies, and when my family's out and maybe wife and son are gone for the night, I'm definitely putting on my Apple Vision Pro to watch a movie. And it's still a fantastic device. I love it. It's just a little bit expensive. And I hope Apple doesn't give up on it. This part of the video is actually my favorite part, and it's when I ask you, the viewer, what's your Apple ecosystem? Let me know in the comments. I always love to see every year what people have for their Apple ecosystem. And hey, if you're a Samsung or Google user, tell me what's your ecosystem. I'd love to hear it as well. If you like this kind of video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. A lot of iPhone 16 content coming, so subscribe for that. As always, guys, thanks for watching. God bless, and I will see you on the next video.